Good morning students, welcome back. So in the previous week we already had completed the list chapter with all its methods and functions. Last week's assignment was actually a revision assignment that mostly covers up all the areas of this chapter. So today we will be discussing each of the solutions of the programs given one by one. Let us take up the first program. Even though this program was discussed in the live class, but I am discussing the solution again. In case some of you could not understand or some of you were not present in the live class, they can refer to this video for the same. So the first program says, write a program to input 8 numbers from the user. Okay, I am not going to read any further into the program. I will divide the program into small parts. So let my first part be that write a program to input 8 numbers from the user. Normally we have learned about taking input from in the form of string in the form of a loop. Okay, before the loop, if you remember that I used to take a variable n and that variable used to hold how many elements does the user want in the list, and as per that we were executing the loop. But please be aware, in this question it is already given that user should take input of 8 elements. Okay, so without accepting any variable from the user, I will directly execute a loop that will run 8 times. So let us say for I in range 0, 8. This will make sure that our loop is executing for 8 times. Correct. Obviously we are going to deal with a list, so we know that we may require to create a blank list, but let us read the question first. From those 8 numbers, multiples of 3 should be stored in a list 3, means whatever 8 numbers the user is entering, the multiples of 3, whatever numbers are multiples of 3, that should be stored in a list named 3, and whatever other numbers will be there, that should be named in the list name other. So technically we will be having two lists. One of the list is 3 and other list is simply other. Now what is the functionality of each of this list? The list 3 will store all the elements automatically which are multiples of 3, and all other elements from these 8 elements or 8 numbers that are not multiples of 3 should be stored in another list named other. Okay, so not a very difficult functionality, but concept of multiple should be very well known to us. Okay, so let us see, before we go for the logic, let us see whether this much part of our program is working properly or not. I will just say print I. Okay, very sorry, not print I have to take you can say input of the element from the user, then we will print. So let us say k equal to input, we will write a message, enter number or element, whatever you want. Fine. And as of now I am not implicating any logic, I am just printing the value of k. I am just printing the value of k. So whenever I am executing this, let us save the program properly. Standard 11, let us say 1. Okay, now whenever I am executing, we will just verify whether my loop is working properly or not, and my loop is accepting 8 elements or not. And as you can see, my loop is accepting 8 elements. I just printed to check the logic, that's it. So I am ready with 8 elements. Now whether these elements are multiples or 3 or not, that will depend on the variable k. Mark my words, whether these elements are multiples of 3 or not, that will depend on variable k. So it is with variable k that we would like to check whether it is a multiple or 3 or not. Now please remember, in 10th standard we had a discussion regarding a function or operator that is called modulus operator. Modulus operator will return us the remainder, and being computer science students, everyone should be knowing it very well that if any number is totally divisible by 3, then it is called a multiple of 3. To be very precise, logically, if any number is divided by 3 and the remainder is 0, then it can be said that that number is a multiple of 3. Okay, so we will use the same logic, that if k modulus 3 equal to 0, if k modulus 3 equal to 0, means what is k? K is the element that is to be entered. K is the element that is to be entered. So if that element when it is divided by 3, we get the remainder 0. That means that element is a multiple of 3. Now what shall I do if any element is multiple of 3? I will append it into the list named 3. So 3 dot append k. So whenever the element that the user is entering, remember my loop will be executed 8 times, and every time a new element will be entered in k. So whenever the element that is entered in k by user is a multiple of 3, I should append it to the list 3. Otherwise, if it is not a multiple of 3, very simple, I will append it into the list other. And I think that will do my cause. Once this job is done, we will go outside the loop and I will print both the list. Let us say, give us the name 3. And we know that list 3 will contain multiples of 3. So I will just print the name of the list. Correct? Print list other. And we will be just printing the list other. Let us see if our program is logically sound and logically correct till now. I am executing the program and there is some issue. Let us see. Yeah, I by mistake entered 2 pairs of double quotes, so that is why maybe the error is coming. No problem, we will remove that. And now I am hopeful that it will work. Now the program is asking for inputs. Let us first of all enter some random numbers to check whether my program logically works for you can say multiple of 3 or not. Okay, as you can see, please do not forget that 0 technically can also be a multiple of 3, because 0 divided by 3 remainder will be 0 only. So 0 is technically a multiple of 3. For now we can consider. We can see that our program is working perfectly. Okay, all multiples of 3 are automatically entered into the list 3, and all numbers which were not multiples of 3 were automatically added to the list another. Let us have one more run of the program properly. Let us say 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. Okay, and here you can very well see all what you can say multiples of 3 are added to the list 3, and all other numbers which were not multiples of 3 is added to the list another. Okay, so hopefully this much logic of the program is sound and correct and understandable to all of you. So this completes our 50% of the program. We have completed our program till here, that we should take input of 8 elements, and whatever multiples of 3 were there, that should be stored in 3, and whatever other multiples were there, that should be stored in another. I think this much logic of the program is working perfectly. Let us read the last part of the program. Create another list 5. Chalo, let us create one more list. Create another list 5 which multiplies each element of the list other with 5 and stores the result. So suppose, let us say for example, other is a list that contains 1, 3 and 5. Correct. For example, other is a list that contains 1, 3 and 5. So each element of other, that is 1, 3 and 5, should be multiplied by 5. So technically the answer should be 5, 15 and 25, and those results should be stored in another list named 5, and that result should be displayed. Not a very difficult job, but before that we need to access each and every element of the list other. Okay, we can do anything with the list, but for that we need to access each and every element of the list other. Now how we would be doing so? For doing so, please remember one technique which I discussed with you in the previous chapter of string. Please remember one method that I discussed in the previous chapter of string. I can show that to you in a, you can say, tiny one more program. Let us say S equal to BBPS. And what if I wanted to print each and every character of BBPS in one and single line? What I was doing? I was making use of looping structure. Say for I in range 0, length of S, and inside I was simply printing S of I. inside I was simply printing S of I, and as you can see here I have access to each and every element of the string. Okay, the list also works in the same manner. Please do not you can say go away from our target that we need to access each and every element of the list other, and once we are able to access that we need to multiply it by 5. So very simple, to be able to access each and every element of the list other, we can make use of looping structure for I in range 0 comma length of other, and hopefully this will do our job. Print other of I, print other of I. Now hopefully we will be able to see after this that whenever we are executing the loop and whenever we are printing other of I, we have access to each and every element of the list other. Let us have a check. Let us take the same set of numbers 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 and 90. Okay, very sorry. Now as you can see, my list other contains 10 to 80, and which are technically all non-multiples of 3, and as you are able to see I am able to access each and every element of other. Now nothing is left. We have each and every element of other. We have the list 5. So what we will do, 5 dot append each and every element of other should be multiplied with 5, and I hope that serves the purpose and our program is done and dusted. Okay, let us just verify. Print list 5, and we will just print the name of the list, that is 5. Let us have one final check of the program. 18, 22, 27, 33, 88, 100, 65, 23. Let us check. All elements in 3 are all multiples of 3. All elements in other are non-multiples of 3. As you can see, the list 5 contains all elements of other multiplied by 5. That you can personally check. Okay students, so I hope this small but very logically sound program is understandable to all of you. Please practice this program at your residence so that better logic development can be there on your part. That would be all from my side for this video. Thank you and have a nice day.